First at 6, it has been one day since a historic vote in the House to impeach President Donald Trump.
But being impeached does not necessarily mean the president is leaving office. A Senate trial is the next step in this process. But before that can happen, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi has to send over the impeachment articles. And she says she's holding off for now to ensure a fair process.
That's right. So, folks, the House approved 2 articles of impeachment charging the president with abuse of power and obstruction of justice. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell is expected to meet with Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer soon, all to negotiate how the trial will play out. But again, the articles have been sent to the Senate. They've got to be sent there first.
President Donald Trump is calling the impeachment, as you heard, a hoax.
Since impeaching a president is rare, it can be hard to follow how this process works and also what happens next.
So our Steve King talked to the chair of High Point University's Political Science Department today to help simplify it all for us.
Professor Martin Keifer says regardless of the back and forth going on right now, he expects a Senate trial to begin sometime in January and agrees with most other experts on the expected outcome of the trial.
People are probably going to vote more or less along partisan lines. And if that case happens, then you have a likely acquittal of the president on the articles of impeachment.
Those 2 articles, abuse of power for President Trump allegedly asking Ukraine to investigate his political rivals, and obstruction of Congress.
This is a little bit different than a criminal procedure, but these are sort of the counts for whoever is being accused. And so there'll be one trial, and the jurors, in this case the senators, are going to give a verdict on whether or not they feel that, in this case, the president is guilty of those 2 articles of impeachment.
While the chair of the High Point University Political Science Department, Martin Keifer, says it's unlikely the president will be convicted by the Senate, if he is found guilty, the article is written in such a way that he would not be allowed to run in 2020. We also discussed what the president's impeachment means for the other Republicans up for re-election in 2020, including North Carolina Senator Thom Tillis.
We can expect, that people who are running for re-election or trying to get into federal office for the first time are going to make a series of decisions. Maybe they will try to associate themselves with the president, or it could be that they'll think that they will find an advantage in separating themselves by criticizing some of the actions of the president. It's sort of an extreme version or extreme example of what politicians have to navigate all the time.
Professor Keifer also says President Trump's approval rating has been consistent throughout his presidency, and if he's acquitted by the Senate, his approval rating will likely stay pretty much the same. In the studio, I'm Steve King.